Yo, what is good, Ice Gang? Iceman here, and today we're gonna be doing a reaction vid, and what we're gonna be reacting to is insane things that used to be illegal. So, shout out Infographic Show for the video. Go sub to them, and we're gonna see crazy stuff that used to be illegal. Let's get in the video. So the audio it was muted, not even in our headphones. We're geeks.
So, you want to be a time traveler? You think you got what it takes? Sure, you're a history buff with a sense of adventure. You've watched enough sci-fi movies to know not to step on any random bugs or teach a medieval peasant about iPhones and Doritos, but there's more to traveling through time than just that. For instance, you need to be prepared to avoid one of the greatest inconveniences a time traveler can face: accidentally breaking the law. A time machine won't do you much good if you wind up behind bars with no way to get back to it. Depending on the time and the place that you've traveled to, you could even wind up executed. Good luck getting back to the present after your head's been severed.
Bro, nah, think about how ads would be though for like real life. Like if you went back in time and then you got caught and they just killed you. It would be like, dang, bro, I'm not even from here. Take me back. Like, nah, bro, that'd be so ass. That'd be
Separated from the
crazy.
rest of your body. Luckily for you, you found this video, so whether you're a seasoned time traveler looking for an information refresh, or an aspiring traveler preparing for your first voyage, or
Y'all think
just
there's
some
time travelers
random
in real
legal
life? Let
history
me know.
enthusiast, you've come to the right place. This is your guide to the insane things that at various points in history used to be illegal. You probably think about the Roman Empire a lot, don't you? Well, even if you don't, you're definitely thinking about it now. Maybe you want that to be your next stop, to throw on a toga and see Caesar invent that famous salad. What's that? He didn't invent the salad? Then why is it called that? Never mind,
Yeah.
not important. We're talking about laws. First and foremost, let's talk about what not to wear. If you're headed to ancient Rome, stay away from purple fabrics. Are you an emperor? No? Then it's a crime for you to wear purple in ancient Rome. Due to the expensive nature of purple dye during the days of the Roman Empire,
What?
such extravagant garb was reserved only for the wealthiest and most powerful. It doesn't matter if it's your signature color or if it really brings out your eyes. Non-royalty in ancient Rome had to skip the purple if they didn't want to wind up on the wrong side of the justice system. Female time travelers, take note: if you find yourself attending a funeral in ancient Rome, make sure you do not cry. Women crying at funerals was outlawed in ancient Rome. Why would they pass
Bro, so first wearing purple because the dye is so expensive. They see just anyone with it. We gotta take you. Wearing purple and we don't know you. We gotta take you. Then if a woman is crying at her funeral, bro, they wouldn't want to come to funerals now. They're gonna just think about murder. Can I get a murder? That's all they're gonna be thinking about. Cause what?
such a seemingly cruel law? Well, to combat the burgeoning funeral actor industry, of course. Ancient Roman funerals would begin with a procession of mourners walking down the street and weeping. The more people in the procession, the more beloved and popular the deceased was assumed to be. In response, a new job opportunity popped up for enterprising women: professional mourners, walking in the procession and weeping, tearing at their hair, generally making a scene with
Bro,
the people
what?
they didn't even know. In order to crack down on that development, women were legally barred from crying at funerals to discourage people from hiring actors. Now imagine this: you're walking through
So there was actually an industry at a time where people get paid just to cry during funerals, which is crazy to me. But I feel like doesn't that type of stuff go on now though? Like don't people? It not necessarily like funeral, but like like other events and stuff. Like, I mean, it's kind of like having spots almost like in like in WWE, like where you have guys that look like fans, look like they're enjoying it, like oh they're lit, but realistically they're hired by WWE to make the event seem more enjoyable than it might actually really be. But that's kind of crazy how they had to stop that. They had to make it illegal for women to cry at funerals just because of that. That shows the impact of how that was doing. It's
The
crazy.
streets of ancient Rome, enjoying the breeze in your new, definitely not purple toga, when you notice a storm rolling in. Uh-oh, the air takes on a crackling electrical feel and you know lightning is about to strike. Sure enough, a flash of light blinds you for a moment as a bolt of lightning strikes a man only a few feet from you, killing him instantly. Oh no, that poor guy. Better get him a proper burial. It's only right. Wrong. Under the law of Numa Pompilius, no one struck by lightning is legally allowed to be buried. You see, this wasn't just a freak accident in the minds of ancient Romans. This was a personal screw you from Jupiter, the god of thunder himself. Defying the gods is a pretty severe no-no, and if you bury that body, it's as good as stealing a sacrifice from Jupiter. Bury the body anyway, and someone would find themselves sacrificed in its place. They could move the body out of the
Bro,
road if it were a trip
what?
hazard or something, but only if they didn't lift it above their knees, because that was a crime too. So now that you're better prepared for any trips to ancient Rome,
Bro, but imagine, like, bro, God forbid, like, you rocking with your man, he gets struck by lightning. Y'all both look at each other like, well, y'all look at each other like, well, no, I'm not touching him. You not touching him. Just leave him. He's a sacrifice. That's basically what they thought. Oh, just leave him. He's a sacrifice. That is so crazy, bro. What? Living
let's
these
move
times
on
had to
to
be
another
different.
exciting time and place, Imperial China. Most of the advice for this region and era boils down to be neat, clean, and respectful, and failure to do so might get you into some real legal trouble. During the
Okay.
Shang Dynasty in 1600 to 1046 BCE, littering was strictly prohibited. We're not talking about a fine or even just a little jail time. Laws during this time period stated that anyone caught throwing garbage on the road would be strictly punished by having their hand cut off.
See, a lot of y'all now wouldn't love to live back here because some of y'all really just be throwing shit wherever, man. Yeah, a lot of y'all could not survive back then. A lot of y'all would not have hands right now, bro. Cause what? Nah, that's too crazy. So they just saw you throw some shit on the road. They like, all right, bro, you done. Mm-mm. Take your hands, go about your day. Stop throwing shit. Well, you can't throw shit, but stop throwing shit. It's crazy.
Anyone going fishing during the Tang Dynasty from 618 to 907 needed to be extra careful because the word for carp had the same pronunciation in Chinese as the last name of the Tang emperors. Extra respect was paid to the fish. According to the Miscellany of Yu Yang, a collection of records concerning legends and folk customs from the time, anyone who caught a carp while fishing was expected to release the fish right away and definitely could not eat them. Anyone caught selling carp would be flogged 60 times. So, time traveler, if you're going to go fishing in the Tang Dynasty, get very, very good at identifying fish first. Or you could
What is flogging? Well, I could search it up, but realistically, I'm not going to. Just comment it down below. But 60 times though, that's crazy.
just go to the Yuan
That's
Dynasty,
crazy.
1206 to 1368 instead, where all fish were fair game. Don't mess with chickens though. According to the Yuan Dynasty historian Yang Yu, during the reign of Emperor Renzog, people in the capital were forbidden from holding chickens upside down. Anyone who defied this extremely specific law would be convicted of a crime and likely
But
jailed.
why?
This is likely due to the fact that the emperor's zodiac sign was that of a rooster. To be safe, just treat
Oh,
all birds and fish with respect during.
that's so crazy that they like. I know obviously like it came from these times, but it's so crazy how like strict and close they were with their their signs and everything like that. Like to this T where they're making it so that you have to show the chicken respect because that's his sign, bro. That's so crazy.
during your travels. Speaking of respecting animals, if you should find yourself traveling to ancient Egypt, there is one particular animal you need to make sure you treat with the utmost reverence: the cat. Cats were sacred in ancient
Yeah,
Egypt,
this is
and
a
harming
classic
one
one.
could
This is
earn
a
you a
classic
punishment
one.
as harsh as the death penalty, which honestly, given how cute cats are,
What?
seems pretty fair. Let's just get a bit more recent and time travel over to jolly old England for a spell. It's time to get medieval. So, you want to travel to England during the Middle Ages, live out your own personal Knight's Tale. Nothing wrong with that, but there are a few things to keep in mind. Step out of your line in the wrong place at the wrong time, Break the wrong obscure law and it's off with your head. When you get to medieval England, you need to find food, of course, but be careful. Don't go hunting for game all willy-nilly. In 1198, a law was passed outlawing any hunting of deer in the royal forest. If you were caught hunting venison there, you faced quite a harsh punishment: blinding and castration. Makes you
That's
lose
like
your appetite,
that's
doesn't
like
it?
early
The law was
poaching.
repealed in 1217, thankfully, but it's still probably best to stay away from the royal deer. Maybe it's best to avoid meat altogether and just stick to bread and ale. Just be careful if you decide to sell bread or ale in medieval England, though. In 1266, a statute was issued that fixed the prices of bread and ale in order to eliminate competition between those selling them. Bread was expected to be sold at a certain weight in
One question: why don't we do this now? Because isn't the main thing or the main problem the competition, right? There's too many of the same similar brands competing against each other. That's why most of the time, what happens? Well, you sell a similar product like us, we control a certain amount of market shares. Why don't we just combine and then we have a bigger, yeah. So yeah, it's crazy, bro. It's crazy. I know. It's crazy. But that's just how that shit works now. But yeah, life.
correlation with the price of wheat, and a baker caught selling underweight bread would be fined and pilloried for violating the law. Oh, and speaking of food, don't think you'll be eating any grand six-course meals. From 1336 to 1856, a law proclaimed by Edward III was on the books, stating that no man of whatever rank he be could be served a meal with more than 2 courses. There were some exceptions for special
Bro,
occasions such as
what?
Christmas, which allowed for 3, but otherwise that cap was strictly set at 2. Food wasn't the only
Two
legal minefield
courses?
in medieval
How do you even
England.
keep track of
Remember
that?
that whole bit about not wearing purple in ancient Rome? There were laws restricting fashion choices in medieval England as well. Many of these laws were put in place to prevent people from dressing like a higher status than they were, and others were intended to protect public decency. In 1463, a law was passed ordering that no person under the rank of lord is to wear any gown, jacket, or coat which does not cover the genitals and the buttocks. Break that rule and they'd wind up paying a
What?
20-shilling fine. These fashion laws didn't
Shillings.
just cover the lack of coverage that was getting popular in medieval men's fashion. For 15th century gentlemen, pikes, or shoes with long pointed ends, were all the rage. They weren't exactly big on restraint or
That was
minimalism, so
drip back then?
sometimes these ends were long enough that they needed to be tied back around the ankles of the man wearing them. So these shoes were included in that same 1463 statute. The new
Bro,
shoe-based
what?
edict declared that no knight under the rank of a lord, esquire, or gentleman, nor any other person, shall wear any shoes or boots having spikes or points which exceed the length of 2 inches. Break this law, and a fashion victim would be fined 3 shillings and 4 pence. These
Three
laws didn't just cover what people
shillings?
could wear and eat, but what they did in the privacy of their own bedrooms. Throughout the medieval era, the church held a great deal of
What?
power and exercised that power in a variety of ways. One of them was by telling married couples which days they were allowed to have sex on and which were strictly prohibited. Sex was forbidden on Thursdays and Fridays, which were set aside as preparation days for the Holy Communion, as well as on Sundays. Sex was also prohibited during Lent, during the days before Christmas, and the days surrounding the Feast of the Pentecost. So, if that's off
My
the
whole thing with certain things like that, okay, the fashion stuff, I guess you can check because they're in public, but my whole thing is like, with stuff that has to do with inside the household, how do you check that? How do you make, how would you make sure, oh, no one is doing that? That's my whole thing, but
table, what else is there to do during leisure time around here? Maybe you could play some sports. Just choose your sports wisely because some of them were outlawed during the Middle Ages. Football, or soccer for the Americans watching, was banned for servants and laborers via a national statute in 1388. Instead of football, these men were encouraged to practice archery so they could better defend their kingdom. The punishment for playing football when enforced included 6 days in prison. The law was not officially
bro, what? So y'all could just be with your laddies, just playing some football, and then the guard or the knights just come by and say, "Y'all mad young playing football? Yeah, take 'em, just take 'em." And they do 6 days in prison, bro. Nah, that's crazy. That's actually wild. And then, so I get the whole archery thing because you're trying to protect your kingdom and whatnot, but dang, bro, that's heavy.
Repealed until 1845.
That's
Tennis
heavy.
was also off limits, at least if the would-be
And
sportsmen were poor.
tennis?
In 1485, it was declared illegal for young men who were below the noble class to play tennis. Tennis was
So,
regarded as an activity for the upper classes alone, and breaking this law
and
would
it's so
result in
crazy because that's
fines.
still like, I
Yet
guess, the
another
stigma nowadays
ball-related sport was
too.
limited by law when King
But I
Edward
guess,
III banned bowling in
Serena,
1366,
her sister,
again
yeah,
citing the
broke
need
that.
for men to practice archery instead. But forget about food, fashion, sex, and
Serena
sports.
Venus.
There was one force in medieval England that you really don't want to mess around with: the church. The Catholic Church outlawed blasphemy during the Middle Ages, and anyone caught speaking out of turn about God or other religious subject matter would be dealt with swiftly. Punishments for blasphemy included hanging, stoning, and being bound while
This is a
one's
little bit
tongue
different
was
because that's
removed
the
with hot
culture back
pliers.
then.
Let's get even more recent next. Maybe you're curious about the Tudor or
Again,
Stuart
the church
periods,
had such
the
a
early
crazy hold
modern
on these
age of
people,
England.
bro. It's
Many
crazy.
of the laws of the Middle Ages were left behind in the past, but there were still plenty of unusual laws to watch out for. As a time traveler, you should know by now that you can't just wear whatever you want, whenever you want. There are obvious tips like don't wear jeans before denim was invented, or don't wear your Taylor Swift concert merch in ancient Greece. But there's also the lesser known don't wear silk in 1500s England. In 1509, the Act Against Wearing of Costly
Silk?
Apparel was passed, and by 1554, an act to avoid the excess in apparel was in effect, prohibiting the wearing of any silk garments by any person with a rank lower than that of a knight's son. Don't expect those wimpy medieval fines for breaking the law either. If caught, the punishment was 3 months in prison and a fine of £10 per day the law was broken. So there were laws about what people couldn't
Bro,
wear, but there were also laws about
what?
what people couldn't not
Nah,
wear.
they were
In
bugging back in
1571,
1570,
the Act
whatever.
for the Making of Caps required all people above the age of 6 years old, except for nobles and maidens, ladies and gentlewomen, to wear an English-made wool cap on Sundays and holidays. If you were caught without a cap, you would be fined 3 shillings and 4 pence for each day the law was
Bro,
broken.
but
Hear
why?
that sound? It's church bells. Here come some of those good old-fashioned religious laws again. In 1559, as England
I'm about to
became a
say something. I'm
contentious
literally right
battleground
now.
between Catholics and Protestants, Elizabeth I passed the Act of Uniformity, which required church services to use the Book of Common Prayer and made Sunday service attendance absolutely mandatory. If someone missed church, they would be fined 12
What,
pence.
bro?
Later in the 1600s, the religious land
Look, and I have no problem with religion, right? But when does it become more than just a religion? When, like, money involves, rulings involved, like how to rule over people, laws are in place, things like that. Like, when it's become more of a personal thing versus a religious thing. You know what I mean? So it's like, I see things like this, and it's like it's scary because stuff like this still goes on today. If you know, you know. So it's like it's just crazy that one, people will use religion to have control over people in their daily life, and then two, people actually don't even think about certain situations, and they just kind of go with the flow because they're religion. They don't question it, and they say, "Oh, don't question it." You always want to question because we're made to question, we're made to think, we're made to be creative. That's why we're so blessed and special because we have that ability. Other animals, other mammals, other creatures don't have that ability. We have that ability. So for us to not question is almost going against what we're put here to do. You know?
landscape of England was shifting once again, and Puritans dominated much of Parliament. In 1647, in an attempt to crack down on holiday celebrations deemed pagan in nature and not pious enough, an ordinance was passed that forbade the celebration of the Christmas holiday. Additional laws were passed along those lines in the 1650s, and those caught celebrating Christmas with parties or other festivities could be fined or have their personal property seized. So if you're
Bro,
visiting England from
what?
1647 to 1660, don't expect any Christmas party invites. Now let's head on over to the good old US of A and see what accidental historical crimes you might stumble into. Depending on the state, there are some really unexpected laws that are no longer on the books in the present. but that
let's
might
see.
pose an issue to someone visiting in the past. First, let's talk about drinking. Lots of people do it. But from 1920 to 1933, America was
Prohibition.
smack dab in the middle of Prohibition, which strictly prohibited the manufacture, sale, or consumption of alcohol. That's an obvious one. Most of us already know about Prohibition, but it's far from the only alcohol-related crackdown in American history. In some states, including Kentucky, it was once illegal to purchase any alcohol while the polls were open for general elections or primaries. No drinking on Election Day. This
Bro,
was in
what?
response to a specific issue with political parties in pre-Prohibition era America frequently bribing voters with free booze. The no alcohol on Election Day's
Nah,
law was overturned
it
in
was
Kentucky
that
in
big.
2013. So that covers what?
Bro, they had that for. No, let me go back. I have that. Yeah, I don't even like to go back like that for videos, but I have to just see like how many years.
Purchase any alcohol while the polls were open for general elections or primaries about Prohibition, but it's far from the only alcohol-related crackdown in American history. In some states, including Kentucky, it was once illegal to purchase any alcohol while the polls were open for general elections or primaries. No drinking on Election Day. This was in response to a specific issue with political parties in pre-Prohibition era America.
But they stopped doing it in 2013 though. The only thing in my head, prohibition was what is right here? 19, 20, 33. Bro, that's almost like a hundred something years, bro. Like, let's just say 1925. That's when they banned. Let's just say that, bro. That's like 90 something years, bro. Almost 100. They 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 just banned it in 2013. Well, I mean, I guess that's what 12 years ago now, right? 12 years ago now. But that's so crazy. That's so crazy. Like it's 100 years now. No, it's been 10 years. No, it's been 100 years since it's happened. Roughly, it's been 10. It's been 12 years since they just banned it, bro. That is so crazy to me.
The manufacture, sale,
Cause
or
they didn't
consumption of
just
alcohol.
think it was
That's an
stupid
obvious
at any
one.
point
Most
besides
of us already know
2013. Like
about
what?
Prohibition, but it's far from the only alcohol-related crackdown in American history. In some states, Election Day's law was overturned in Kentucky in 2013. So that covers what days were forbidden for buying alcohol. But what about alcohol's temperature? Surely no one would legally mandate that. Just kidding, of course they would. That's why we brought it up in the first place. In Mississippi, it was once illegal to sell cold beer in a store. You were allowed to sell it at room
What?
temperature, but not cold. This was intended to prevent drunk driving, as it forced beer drinkers to wait until they could get their freshly purchased brew somewhere with a refrigerator before cracking open a newly cold one. The law was
Bro,
overturned in
what? I see
2013.
the thought, but
Sure,
it's like,
those
bro,
laws were a
what?
bit odd, but
You
at
drink
least
a
we're not
hot
in the
beer, you
Middle Ages
but it's
anymore.
so
There
crazy.
definitely won't be any more religiously motivated laws that restrict public life and leisure time. What's that? Yes, there absolutely were so many of those? Oh, okay. Up until as recently as the 1980s, there were quite a few laws in place preventing certain activities on Sundays. One of those was shopping or doing business of any kind. Sunday was a legally mandated day of rest, and if you had anything you wanted to pick up at the store that day, well, you were just out of luck. Thankfully, those laws have been repealed everywhere in the states except for Bergen County, New Jersey.
Bro. Honestly, me personally, I'll be for one to bring that back, just cause in Europe, I think like Spain or France or something like that, they literally have designated days itself during the week, right? During the work week, where you would go home, everyone would go home, like chill with their family and stuff like that. And this is during the day, so designated days during the week, and I'm pretty sure this is every day. Yo, anyone that's in Spain, France, those or European areas, let me know. But it's like during the day, everything will shut down. You go back home, chill with your family, and then you go back to work. I'm not opposed to that, 'cause I feel like I give more family time back to people, and you just get close with your family, and family's very important. So yeah, but so I'm actually not too opposed to bring this back where everything's just closed on Sunday and you just chill with the family and stuff. Now would be emergencies needed on a Sunday, maybe, possibly, but I don't be too opposed to that. But let's just see what they got about Jersey.
As it turns out, not everything is legal in New Jersey. Other, more restful activities were off limits too. New York State maintained their blue laws banning work and activities on Sundays, for decades, limiting shopping and alcohol sales, but also limiting the acts of golfing or going to the circus. These laws were relaxed in 1952, but prior to that, no looking at clowns or hitting balls was permitted on the Lord's Day. Speaking of fun things to do, specifically involving balls, you know what's always a good wholesome time? Pinball. That all-American arcade classic game that no one in their right mind would ever have a problem with, let alone try to outlaw, except, of course, for the time that it was absolutely outlawed. From the time that the first coin-operated pinball machine was introduced in 1931, it was considered a form of gambling that many wrote off as immoral and dangerous to society. It was a game of chance that cost money, and that was too close to gambling for comfort in the eyes of church groups and others, including Mayor Fiorello LaGuardia of New York City. On January 21, 1942, pinball machines were banned in public spaces in New York City. The police raided candy shops, bowling alleys, bars, and any other public space that might have a...
Imagine imagine them just coming in and be like, "Give me all the pinball machine! We need all of them! Grab them, grab them, grab them!" They just coming on timing, bro.
Pinball machine, confiscating 2,000 machines. They called the press to come and watch and smashed the pinball machines to smithereens with sledgehammers. Other cities soon joined in and banned pinball as well, including in Chicago, New Orleans, and Los Angeles. It wasn't until the 1970s when the flipper mechanism was added to the game and the attitude around pinball shifted to considering it a game of skill rather than chance. In 1974, the California Supreme Court overturned the Los Angeles ban. 2 years later, New York followed, and pinball regained its place in public spaces and the hearts of Americans everywhere. Games are one thing, but there's no way that there were any American laws on the books prohibiting expressions of joy and fun that are as ancient as humanity itself. Activities like, say, dancing. Oh, who are we kidding? We've all heard of Footloose. Of course there were anti-dancing laws. New York passed a cabaret law banning dancing in businesses without cabaret licenses, which was ratified in 1926. It wasn't repealed until 2017. And it wasn't the only dancing law. In the town of Elmore City, Oklahoma, a ban on public dancing was enacted in 1898. Like in the plot of Footloose, this ban was intended to prevent the immorality that religious leaders believed could result from dancing, including drinking and premarital sex and fun. Without Kevin Bacon there to save the day, the town's ban remained intact for
fucking Kevin Bacon.
Nearly 100 years until Elmore City High School students rallied against it in 1980. The students sought to overturn the ban in order to have a senior prom. There were objectors like Reverend F.R. Johnson who said, "No good has ever come from a dance. If you have a dance, somebody will crash it and they'll be looking for only two things, women and booze. When boys and girls hold each other, they get sexually aroused. You can believe what you want, but one thing..."
And it's so crazy, because he would probably be the type to, if you know, you know, I don't gotta say too much.
Leads to another. In spite of his comments, the students got their way, and the ban was officially overturned. Now, hopefully you're a little bit more prepared for your travels through time, or maybe you've decided time travel isn't for you after all. If that's the case, then at least you know a lot of law-based trivia that you didn't know before. Either way, your chances of winding up in a medieval prison or being put to death in ancient Rome are significantly smaller than they were before, and you have no way of proving otherwise. Now check out even more illegal things you didn't know you do every day, or watch this video instead. So,
we might check them videos out later, I don't know. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Comment down below, what was your weirdest thing that was illegal to you in the video? Honestly, there's a lot of stuff. I'll probably have to go with I'll go with the dancing or the shoes. Cause like the dancing just crazy to me, but the shoes in like 1950, I'm like, bro, y'all worried about the length of shoes for status? That's crazy. That's crazy, bro. Just really been around for years. Cause they worry about the length of the shoe for bro. That's so crazy, bro. But yeah. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. Appreciate every single one of you guys trying to grow the channel, grow the community, grow Ice Gang, all that stuff. We're gonna be working on Discord, bro. I promise, bro. I'm trying to start something up, bro. I'm trying to start something up. But yeah, guys. Um, that's all for real. Tune into the next episode. We just gonna keep on going, keep on shooting, keep on filming, all that good stuff. So, Ice Gang, Iceman.